in a church setting, that is, tell the whole congregation, hey, our team, our staff, our top 2 or 3 leaders or whatever, we live in covenant. Let me tell you what those covenants are. Why do you think that's important?
I think there's several reasons. I think one of them could be that they see a relationship like that as possible.
Yeah.
And they also know, hey, I can't go talk to Austin about Ben.
Yeah. They can't split the staff.
No, they can't split the staff. And how many times have we seen churches or organizations be split by people going to different people and trying to undermine their relationship?
Hopefully by now you're ready to have the team of your dreams. I'm Austin Ryan, the founder and director of Worship Catalyst and the host of the Worship Catalyst podcast. By now, you've learned the 3 covenants, and hopefully you've gone to Amazon and ordered your book or ebook and already started reading it. If not, it's called The 3 Covenants, Building Team Loyalty. In this book and in this podcast, we're focusing on helping you build the team of your dreams by helping you implement these covenants onto your own team. So, Ben and I are available for retreats and some online coaching for your team. You can find out more about that at the3covenants.com, the3covenants.com. We would love to have the privilege of diving in with your team of 2 people or 20 people or even more, helping you understand and implement these covenants. But today,
Ben Barfield.
Shirt, Ben.
3covenants.com.
I know that there's more people probably listen to this than watch it.
Yeah.
But that shirt right there is worth going to YouTube.
I saw a pie this color last night, and I thought that was very interesting.
What was in it?
It was some kind of weird psychedelic key lime pie. And I'm like, I don't think that's the color it's supposed to be.
No, that's not the color of key lime.
It's like they added some kind of weird dye to it.
I got
it all over me.
I've never seen anything in nature that color, let me just say.
Well, you have now.
Mm-hmm. Maybe maybe there's some parts of certain shallownesses of water where that's kind of the color.
I was in Yellowstone the other day, and there's this thing called the prismatic something, and it's got all different colors of algae and stuff, and the water color changes all over it. It's crazy.
I bet you that color's mixed in somewhere.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Every color of the rainbow.
Red,
yellow,
orange.
There you go.
You don't even know Roy G. Biv. All right, are we ready?
We're going to cut that last part out.
Episode 3 of the Worship Catalyst podcast. All right. So we've been talking about these covenants that you and I have lived with for almost 20 years, and we've helped so many teams and really leadership pairs, probably more than anything, adopt and live out these covenants.
Right.
I had the saddest thing happen the other day. Having this conversation with this guy, and I had watched him and his pastor make covenants.
Wow.
So I'm mentoring him, and this is a few months later, coaching. We get into this conversation, and he goes into this whole thing about how the relationship between him and his pastor they need a mediator.
Right.
That's how far down it's gotten.
Wow.
And when he finished his conversation about all of that, and he told me all of the things that had gone wrong on every direction, it was just a nightmare. I said, didn't you make covenants with him? And he said, he just stopped in his tracks. And he said, it's amazing how fast you can lose the covenants.
Yeah. Doesn't take long at all.
It doesn't. Our human nature fights back against this kind of relationship. But that's probably why it's so important, right? We need to deny ourselves and become like community people and not just a man of myself, you know what I mean? So everybody's decided now, okay, we're going to implement these things. We're going to do it. Because last time we talked about 11 reasons to have the covenants, and so let's implement them. We need to give some tips. So let's give some tips.
Do you want to mention what the covenants are real quick first?
Remember them?
I do. They are, the first one is, I've always got your back. The number 2 covenant is, if there's something weird or awkward, something like that, I deal with it immediately.
Yeah.
And the number 3 covenant is, we passionately debate, but whenever we make a decision, we own it as if it's our own.
Right. And so a lot of times I talk to leaders, really, I'm sharing this with leaders, and I say, these are the 3 covenants, and we recommend you make them with each other. And sometimes they go, oh yeah, we already got that. We live that way. And I'm like, no, you don't unless you say it.
Yeah.
And that's the first tip, implementation, is say the covenants to one another.
Yeah, and when we get to this part with people, it's always funny because it's always, every single time, especially if it's dudes,
Yeah, it's super weird.
it's super weird.
Yeah.
And they like, you mean you want us to say it to each other?
Like look at each other in the eyeballs?
So exactly. And so we make jokes out of it. We say, we want you to grab each other's thigh, or we want you to do a holy kiss, or, like get in a dance formation, like you're doing a slow dance together when you do it. Something like that. We do silly stuff, but really we say, hey, you need to look at each other in the eye and say, I'm always going to have your back.
Man, I've always got your back.
I'm always going to deal with the weird.
Yeah, if there's anything weird, I'm going to say it to you, man.
And I'm going to passionately debate with you. And whenever we make a decision, I'm going to own it as if it's my own.
And Ben, I'm going to passionately debate if we have a disagreement, and I'm going to own it as if it was my own, no matter what the decision is.
Yeah, man. And there's something about doing that and looking each other in the eye and kind of sealing it,
Yeah, that's good.
It goes back to that whole Jonathan and David thing, So they made covenants to each other, So
there is something about it, because if I'm going to look you in the eye and say something, I'm probably going to have a higher possibility of living by it than if I just kind of assume it to be true.
Right. Yeah. It makes it real.
It does. Okay. Another tip in implementing and really, continuing to live out and strengthen these is to talk about it in every meeting in some way. Now, you've gotten really good at this with the current team that you lead.
Yeah, I lead a team at the North American Mission Board of people who work with assessments across the United States, and we're all remote. Like, we all work remote. So we have meetings regularly online together, and so it's harder to maintain covenants when you're farther apart from each other. So we have to be super intentional about it. So at the top of our agenda of our meeting, we all have an agenda that comes up online, and at the top of the agenda, it all has our covenants. Every meeting we mention it somehow.
So your agenda template has here's our team name, here's the date.
At the very top of the meeting. I mean,
that's awesome.
It's the most important thing we do.
Yeah.
And actually, people in the organization comment on our team's relationships and stuff like that, and we know why it is. Not everybody in the organization has this. It's our team, and so we in some way we deal with it every time. Sometimes we'll have a devotion on one of them. Sometimes we'll just talk through them and say, hey, where are we catching each other doing this? Sometimes, especially if we have a new team member that comes on, I'll have other teammates share the different covenants, and kind of walk through what they mean. We might even.
I love that you have other people on the team share them, so it's not always just coming from you; it's coming from the people who are living in the covenant.
We own it together. You know what I mean? As a matter of
good.
fact, the covenants are just a little different. They're based on the same 3 covenants that we have, but they're a little different. And so, not only we came up with those covenants together. You know what I mean? And so, I think there's something important, with maybe even imagining some of this together. How can we implement these 3 covenants? In a way.
Yeah,
that's what we did. Yeah,
the book unpacks that a little bit too.
Yeah,
about
for sure.
Some of the reasons you decided to make some of those changes that, and plus the team was so big.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger
just
team.
Just a little different wording that made more sense.
But I'm telling you, man, there's something about just implementing it all the time. We have on Fridays, we have encouragement Fridays, and we make sure we mention a covenant when we do that. You know what I mean? So through a text thread, it's crazy. It's cool.
There's another tip that is to share the covenants with everybody, even if they're not in covenant. So in a church setting, that is, tell the whole congregation, hey, our team, our staff, our top 2 or 3 leaders or whatever, we live in covenant. Let me tell you what those covenants are. Why do you think that's important?
I think there's several reasons. I think one of them could be that they see a relationship like that as possible.
Yeah.
And they also know, hey, I can't go talk to Austin about Ben.
Yeah. They can't split the staff.
No, they can't split the staff. And how many times have we seen churches or organizations be split by people going to different people and trying to undermine their relationship?
Boy.
That's not going to happen. If you talk about it all the time, they're going to see this is real.
Yeah.
And they may try it once or twice, but it's not going to happen. Yeah. So
the other thing I think it provides them, I think they feel like there's a little bit more humility or accountability within the team, because a lot of people have got. It seems like almost increasingly so that pastors and CEOs and everybody have just got so much latitude and freedom to do whatever they want.
Right.
that nobody gets to speak into. But if you look up and you go, oh, this guy or this girl is living in this covenant with these other people, then at least there's some sort of accountability built into the 100%. System and the structure. So
yeah, that's good.
That's a good reason to share it with the congregation.
I think another reason to share it, like you talked about in the last meeting, you talked about you told a story about how it seeped down to other team members, other teams and stuff in the church where you really didn't actually have covenant.
Yeah.
But they were saying it like we're in covenant together, because it just naturally changed the culture of the church. If you didn't see that podcast, you need to go back and watch that. Yeah.
Okay, this next tip is it may be kind of like a little too easy to say, but that is to keep the covenants.
Yeah.
Like the best way to keep the covenants going is to keep the covenants. Be brave. Okay.
Right.
The bravery part is what I really want to talk about.
Right.
I've talked to guys and girls before who are in covenant with some other people on their team or another person on their team, and they are talking about some issue that they're going through, and I will immediately say, I think this may be rising to the level of a covenant conversation that you need to have, like a number 2 covenant conversation that you need to have. But they're so afraid to do it that they justify,
Right.
They're like, it's really not affecting me that much. And I'm like holding up the glass going, there's something in the glass, bro. You need to empty it.
Yeah, man, that's so important. And we've talked about this before, like when we consult with people, is the hardest thing to do when it comes to relational covenants is the first time you have a number 2 covenant you need to deal with. Mm-hmm. Because it just nobody does it where you actually go to someone and say, hey, I got an issue we need to talk through.
Yeah.
And to say it out loud, to expose it, to get it out there, it's scary, but the first time you do it, it's hard. The second time it's a little easier. Third time it's easier.
Yes.
And it's never easy, but it always gets easier once you learn to do it.
Do you know what's interesting about that? I think you're so right about that. It does get much easier because you have a lot more trust.
Right.
That it's going to go okay. And it's going to make us stronger. Yeah. It's also easier to stop saying things. It gets easier to just let it go.
Yeah.
And then
you're building up the mess between you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's good, man.
All right, another tip is to say the covenants.
Right.
Every now and then, periodically.
Right.
So, like, what do you, we've seen this pattern in a lot of different ways. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's just like anything, the more you talk about it, the more you bring it up, the more you look at each other in the eye and say it, the more real it is. I mean, even when we were practicing it a while ago for the podcast, we did it again. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's funny you did that because I was thinking, I wonder if he's going to do what we always do. Whenever we talk about this, we always re-up with the covenants you didn't just say, yeah, that's right, Ben. You said, yeah, I'd do this to you too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's something about that, man. It's just, again, it makes it more real. It keeps it to the front. It's more accountability, and it doesn't get stale. 20 years, bro. And I will say this, if you don't do that, it's been 20 years. And I can say, I said this earlier in one of the other podcasts, I can say if someone comes to me and says, Austin said this about you, I'll say, you're a liar.
Yeah, man.
Because I know Austin didn't say that about me. Mm-hmm. Because we've talked about this over and over and over and over again. So, yeah.
So another tip, and I think this is number 7 or something. I've lost count. But this tip is really important. It's mind for conflict, which is a Patrick Lencioni term. So it's not like something that we came up with. But the reason it's so important in covenant is because in our next podcast, we're going to talk about co-leadership, and all that, which is a little different nuance than most people are used to. Usually there's like a boss, and then there's people that are not boss.
Right.
And it is so difficult for a not boss to share their true thoughts
with the boss
and be passionate when they disagree. Like covenant number 3.
Right.
Passionate sharing your side of the story.
Right.
Or your side of the decision or whatever. Right. So why is it so important that the leader's job is to mine for conflict?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
and what is mining for conflict?
Mining for conflict is simply asking the question: if you have if you have a disagreement with this, or you have a different opinion, you have a different take, we need to hear it. Yeah. You're not allowed to walk away from this meeting without sharing it. Mm-hmm. I give you permission to share it now, and then when they do, you hear it. It doesn't always mean it's the right thing, but I mean, you hear it and it's part of the discussion. You don't put them down and say, "Oh, that's stupid." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you're mining for those dissenting opinions.
I think, and you like, I've seen you do this before. Where you're
Right.
like, I think you disagree with me.
Yeah.
And you're out of covenant if you don't tell me
Right.
how
Exactly.
you're disagreeing with me
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. It's more important
Uh-huh.
that you stay in covenant here
Yeah.
than and almost like you have to do this. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
And then, but I also, if I may be thinking that, seeing something in their face, misreading their face even, and if they say, no, I don't disagree with you, then
Yeah.
I just got to move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Accept it.
Yeah. So,
Because hopefully you're in covenant and
Right.
they're being honest.
Yep.
You remember we've led so many teams through this, Ben, but I know that you and I have experienced when we invite other people into covenant with us. Most people have a story of pain
mm-hmm.
with some sort of superiority relationship.
Right.
Okay.
I have that.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
shared that in that
Yeah,
first
exactly.
episode. And so they don't trust the fact that they can be honest
Right.
and disagree with you or disagree with whoever the leader is. And so that's where I think that the leader, like the responsibility lies on the leader to force it out of them.
Right.
Because anytime they've ever spoken their mind before, they may have really gotten knocked down or fired or whatever. So
I remember a time, I don't remember exactly where we were or anything, but I remember a time where you kind of modeled that, where it was, I don't even know if you really disagreed with me, but you wanted to show them, this is what you can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't even,
that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I probably disagreed with you.
Yeah, you probably did.
Probably did.
But I mean, you were easy to switch over to what I said. So that probably means you didn't disagree with me, because usually you passionately debate.
Bro, we've had some long ones on this.
Yeah.
Like weeks long.
Weeks
long where we're just like, we can't get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah. And we talk about that way more in the book too, as far as how that works out. But so another tip is to make sure that if a covenant is broken, repent,
Right.
empty the glass, remake the covenants.
Right.
And all three of those steps have to be made
Yeah, that's good.
if you're going to, if someone has broken covenant. So this does happen. Nobody's perfect. And sometimes covenant gets broken. So let's talk about those three real quick. So repent. Why is it so important that someone really repents?
Yeah, I mean, because they broke a covenant, and breaking a covenant is a big deal.
Yeah.
And so repent means it doesn't just mean that that I'm sorry that I did this. It means I'm not doing this again.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if I'm turning away from this, I'm going to turn back towards the covenants. I'm not doing this again.
Yep. And number two, empty the glass.
Empty the glass, and sometimes that takes time, because it depends on how long the covenant's been broken for.
Yeah, right.
And how full the glass has been. And so sometimes that takes a minute.
Yeah. We've talked about before how sometimes that one piece on the bottom of the glass has been there so long, it's like
stuck,
it's oozed out, and you can't.
Yeah, it's like a juju bean on the bottom of a movie theater.
Exactly.
I don't even know what that means.
And then the third one is the third one is, I don't know what a juju bean is, but I think it was on Seinfeld. Didn't
Yeah.
didn't
I don't have any idea. I just made that up, I guess.
Yeah.
Or somebody made it up and it just popped into my head.
Yeah.
I'm old.
The third one is then on that is to redo the covenant. Just start over, right?
Start over.
Re-up.
Yep.
Do them again.
As if and then live by them again, And the hardest part about that sometimes is once a person has repented, you've cleared the deck.
Yeah.
It's the humility of the person that was wronged to say, okay, we're going to go back into covenant together.
Let them come back into covenant.
Yeah, man, that's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah,
There is that situation that people ask us about all the time. What happens
yeah,
if someone breaks
Yeah.
covenant 2 times, 4 times? It's this
Yeah.
continual, it seems like a pattern.
it just means they can't live in covenant,
Yeah, they just don't have the integrity at this point, or
Right.
the spiritual maturity, or the just like
right?
the maturity period.
So they're probably not a good fit for this team.
That
No.
would be the
No,
reason.
no, they're not a fit for this team.
Yeah, that would be
because
the
that's a
reason.
requirement for this team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way to do it, man. Like you're letting someone go for that is better and more obvious than letting them go because they're not good at their job.
Right.
No question about it.
Yeah, we'll find you the right place with your job,
Right.
but we need you to live in covenant.
All right. Tip number 8
Yeah.
is consider implementing these sequentially.
Right.
All right. Now, this is especially when we have had, like I mentioned a minute ago, we've had people that have joined our team that have had a lot of pain in the past, and there's no way they're going to speak up
Right.
because they don't trust what's going to happen when they do.
Right.
So, so what would sequentially look like if you're going to implement them that way?
Well, I think that, especially with teams that already exist or teams, like you said, somebody's coming in to something that's, and they haven't been part of, they don't understand it, is start with number one.
Yeah.
Have each other's back, man. Don't speak evil of anybody. Don't hear evil of anybody, and live by that for a while.
Yeah.
And trust. And you'll see that the other people are living by that as well.
Yeah.
And that may take a while. And then sequentially is after that's happened for a while, now it's time to empty the glass. And that could really take a while. Sometimes, it may take weeks, months, maybe years to just empty out the glass before you can move on to the point where you trust each other so deeply that you can now passionately debate.
Yeah.
And so, like, when a new person comes on my team, I don't expect them to jump in and say things that they fear may hurt their standing on the team or something, because they're not ready to do that.
They don't trust it.
No, they don't trust it. Now, we demonstrate it. We talk about it. We encourage them to, but I don't push. But, if we're 2, 3, 4 years down the road, they should, 2, 3, 4 months really down the road, they should probably be there, So
yeah, man. And you see teams all the time that we talk to that are just like, it's just been building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so they come into the covenants, and it's so much easier for them to just like, hey, I'm going to go get another job.
Yeah.
We're just not going to work together anymore. But it's so much more rewarding if they'll just take the time and say, I'm never going to say anything bad about you ever again. I've done that 100 times, 1,000 times, but starting today, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, man.
And do that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I remember early on when we did covenants, we were probably 2, 3 years in, and we met with a pastor who'd been there at this church for like 3 or 4 years, and a worship leader at this church. They're the 2 main staff members, and they're both very talented people. And the worship guy had been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we didn't understand all of how this worked yet. I mean, we just knew we were doing it.
Yeah.
And they were saying, hey, we've heard you guys know about covenants. Tell us about it. And we just said, hey, implement it.
Yeah, right.
And it was doomed. They couldn't.
It was too late.
Because there was too much stuff.
Yeah.
But they could have done it sequentially and started and that's what we would say now.
Yeah.
Start with this. Start with number one and live number one for a while. And then go into number 2. Yes, we just didn't always know that, you know.
Our last tip is number 9, which is, you mentioned it already, but we'll just kind of unpack it a little bit more, and that is to take as long as you need to empty the glass.
Yeah.
Even if you have to go away on a retreat, even if you have to, and there's a lot of tips for this, and we give these tips in the book a little bit more, and also if we work with churches one-on-one,
well, it help facilitate it.
We can go through the facilitation of this, because sometimes it takes a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
And the simple truth is you can't move on without this.
Yeah.
Because you just don't see each other clearly.
Right.
That's the key to this. It's easy in word to stop talking about somebody, but that's not going to last if you don't deal with the mess.
Yeah.
You got to at some point deal with the mess, and sometimes there's a lot of mess.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I hope that this has been helpful for you, and thank you for joining us on the Worship Catalyst podcast as we try to help you, get the most to be the best team you could possibly be. And we'd love to help you on some of this stuff on an individual basis. If you want to take us up on that, we can coach you or your team or how big that team is, and in implementing the 3 covenants, but also giving you tools to live them out going forward. And we've seen it change so many teams and so many lives, and we hope it can change yours. In our next and last episode in this series, we're going to be discussing co-leadership. Ben and I have co-led multiple organizations and honestly can't imagine doing it any other way. So we'll give you at least 5 benefits and 5 how-tos of leading in pairs, or even more than pairs. And we've had that too. But until then, have a great week, and don't forget to pick up your copy of the 3 Covenants on Amazon. Or if you have 15 or more people on your team, go to the3covenants.com, and you can get a discounted rate. See you soon.